The prosecution of religious freedom in Canada is frightening. It's approaching, it's getting right up there to what China has been doing with ripping down pictures of Jesus Christ and replacing them with whatever you want. Do you want a Mao or do you want a Xi Jinping? What do you want in place? Because the government is now your God and you shan't not sin against it. Case in point, Church of God paying $274,000 in fines, but Pastor Hillebrand vows to keep fighting. Because you remember, Christians back in the old Holy Roman days just wanted to practice their faith. They just wanted to be left alone. And in order to do that, they were marched into the fucking gladiatorial arena and they were slaughtered by lions. Okay, and now what? You have people saying, oh, it'll be fine if I just pray at home. That'll be alright. Listen, I'm not somebody who likes to go to church, but if you want to go to church, that's totally fucking fine. And restrictions are back in Ontario. They're back in Alberta, and they have been for a while. So you got 1/3 capacity in my spacing and my social distancing and my masks and no fucking singing because that makes sense. And for guys who, you know what, it's one of those things that's kind of enshrined in their right to religious freedom. Right to practice, yeah, it doesn't exist anymore because your safety is far more important. With the Church of God back in his hands, Pastor Henry Hillebrand is reluctantly paying a massive fine, but still vows to keep fighting for freedom. Pastor Henry Hillebrand of the Church of God in Almire, Ontario, has been an unwavering voice of discernment throughout the COVID pandemic. Early on, he began to question the governmental response to the virus that forbade his congregation from gathering and worshiping, something he felt he needed more than ever during these unprecedented times. Yeah, exactly. But now you can just go at home and sit and be afraid, and you can worship the wonderfully coiffed people on CTV and CBC. Those are your new gods. They're the Messiah men. Despite threats from law enforcement, health bureaucrats, and local residents, Pastor Hillebrand has refused to bow to the powers that be who attempt to trample his God-given constitutional rights to freedom of assembly and religious freedom. He has continued to preach, and alongside the support of his congregation, his church has continued to gather and worship. The dissent has come with hefty repercussions. In May, state-sanctioned lockdowns were placed on the church, which forced them to continue their services out fucking doors. Unbelievable. But now the locks have been removed from the church and returned to its rightful owners, the community. And waiting inside for him was a bill for $274,000. And before we get back to the Jesus stuff, we actually got this little story here. Okay, Ontario Provincial Police arrest a woman in front of crying children for not providing vaccination status to enter an arena. Okay, so they got the full story here, but we got the little handy video here, so we can put on the sound, I guess, but
you can go over here.
Doesn't matter.
No. So
you can give us a ticket
to identify yourself to us right now for trespass to property because they asked you not to.
This is a public facility that we've paid for.
They've asked you to leave. Do you have identification on you? Because you will be arrested under trespass to property at the request of the facility. You don't want to do this in front of your children, right?
We are not trespassing.
Yes, you are.
Okay,
You already told me you were. Really?
Yeah.
You know what? It's not worth it.
You knock that off. Put your hands back. Okay? Show resistance.
Alright, I don't need to hear kids crying. Okay, I get it. And it's like, oh, they asked you to leave. It's a public place, blah, blah, blah. None of that shit would be happening if it wasn't for vaccine passports. I'll just go ahead and fucking say it because that's the underlying cause here. So spin it however you want. But yeah, that's pretty fucking despicable. But that's Canada for you. Oh boy, we talked about Pastor Arter. You remember him? Yeah, he had the street church in Calgary. Okay, and then he had the Calgary Police Department come in and tried to shut down his service, and he was Nazi Gestapo, get out! Another based Polish man out there in the world, and after he was arrested and brought to jail, he ended up going down into the United States. He was brought around, I think it was by Blaze, and doing a big old speaking tour in the United States. And then as soon as he arrived back in Canada, he was promptly placed under arrest for what exactly? Well, we'll get into it. This is how CTV, this is how normies are going to end up consuming this content, okay? Calgary pastor rearrested after returning to city on charter flight. Trying to already paint him. Oh, he's on a charter flight. He's one of those rich people. He deserves to be taken down a peg. Calgary pastor accused of repeatedly flouting public safety measures. No authoritarian fucking lockdown measures. Having his church shut down. But why would you go ahead and, tell the truth? See, you're factually correct, but you're morally dishonest. And was met by members of Canadian Border Service Agency Monday afternoon after he touched down in the city on a private charter flight. Oh, so rich, so fancy. The lawyer representing Artur Pawlowski confirmed her client, I seen a professional, I thought it was a man, was arrested at the airport on an outstanding criminal contempt of court charge. Oh my God, so he had to get met directly right off the tarmac? Oh my God, he was just a flight risk. What, do you think he was just going to hop back on the Cessna and go for a fucking spin? I don't think so. According to Sarah Miller, a bail hearing is held late Monday night, and the pastor was subsequently released. Conditions of Pawlowski's release included keeping the peace and good behavior. Just submit. The pastor, as well as his brother, David Dawid, it's probably David, let's be completely honest, at least how it's pronounced, Pawlowski, as both found guilty in contempt of violating COVID-19 health orders. Yeah, by holding church service. That's really fucking cool. Pawlowskis are scheduled to be sentenced on October 13th. They don't really get into the details as to why he was detained, mostly because they don't really have a leg to stand on when it comes to that. But obviously, yeah, white man bad. Two white men, even badder. Canadian pastor says Soviet-style tyranny is drawing eerily close after another arrest. Yep, if they came for me, be sure of it, they'll be coming for you, said Artur Pawlowski. Canadian pastor Arthur spoke about his latest arrest on Wednesday's Ingram angle, interesting, and reiterated a prior warning to Americans totalitarianism is rearing its ugly head in the West, and Canadians as well, because we're currently living it. Pawlowski went viral when he protested Canada's insane COVID mandates, and now authorities are arresting him again, said Ingram. The pastor was arrested by Canadian border agencies when he returned to his home country and was charged with failure to wear a mask. Isn't that a little bit different than what CTV was reporting? Remember, he was arrested right there as soon as he touched down. Isn't that interesting? Came to the United States with a simple warning. The pastor told Ingram about his recent trip. You're next. Oh my God, what was he doing? A Goldberg impression? They came for me. Be sure for it. They'll be coming for you as well. Then he called on individuals who arrested him masked gangsters. Oh, where's the lie? And he couldn't even consider them officers of law. If you enforce petty laws like that, I think that's a fair description. Pawlowski, head of a Calgary Street Church in Alberta, Canada. Calgary, Alberta, Canada. First gained international attention when he confronted local inspectors on Easter. Wow, that was that long. Fucking Christ. All this shit is running together. After he said they entered his church without a warrant. Very much so. The inspectors were there to ensure the church was abiding by COVID-19 guidelines, which called for an indoor maximum capacity of 15%. Fuck off. Social distancing and mask wearing. Get out of this property. Nazi, Gestapo, Nazis are not welcome here. You remember the video. God, it was fun. Pawlowski told Fox News in April he was raised under Soviet communism in Poland. Some of the worst. It was a disaster, he said about his childhood. Police officers break into your house 5 in the morning. They could beat you up, torture, and arrest you for no matter what reason they came up with. So it was like a flashback when those police officers showed up at my church. Everything kind of came back from my life, from my childhood, and the only thing I could do is fend off the wolves as a shepherd. We as lions should never bow to the hyenas, and that's what they are right now. I love his analogies. They're pretty apt. You came to freedom, Ingram said to the pastor to Canada. Oh, about the pastor's journey to Canada, sorry. This is feeling very Soviet to me, and it really does seem like it as somebody who never, grew up under communism. Obviously, the wall had already fell by the time I was born. But as a student of history, you can see it creeping in from the sides. Actually, creeping's not an apt description. I'll go ahead and take a page out of Artur's book. It's blitzkrieging, and it's already fucking here, so what are you going to do to stop it? Stay informed and not give in. How about that? We'll start there. I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.